The morning sun filtered through the cafe windows, casting golden streaks across the worn wooden tables. Maya wiped down the counter with practiced efficiency, humming softly to herself. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the sweet scent of cinnamon rolls baking in the oven. Her grandmother's recipe, the one thing that always brought customers back. Maya, table 5 needs their order. Her coworker BC called from the kitchen. On it! Maya grabbed the tray laden with cappuccinos and pastries, balancing it expertly as she weaved through the crowded cafe. The lunch rush was in full swing, and she thrived in the chaos. This place, with its chipped paint and mismatched chairs, had become her sanctuary. It hadn't always been this way. 10 years ago, she'd been a different girl entirely, bright-eyed, ambitious, with dreams as vast as the sky. Then came that terrible night, the one she still couldn't think about without her chest tightening. The car accident, the funerals, the sudden, crushing silence of a house that had once been filled with laughter. At 10 years old, Maya had lost both her parents. School became impossible. The words in her textbooks blurred together, meaningless. Teachers spoke, but she couldn't hear them over the roar of grief in her ears. She'd failed classes, stopped trying, stopped caring about anything except the gaping hole where her family used to be. Then came Grandma Eunice. Her grandmother had swept into her life like a force of nature, all warm hugs and firm declarations. You will not waste away in sorrow, child. Your parents wouldn't want that. Grandma Eunice had sold her own small house in the village and moved to the city, determined to raise Maya properly. It took years, but slowly Maya began to heal. She never went back to formal education. The damage had been done, but Grandma taught her everything else: how to cook, how to manage money, how to smile again. When Maya turned 18, Grandma helped her get the job at the cafe. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work, and it paid enough for them to live comfortably in their modest apartment. They'd built a good life together, a simple life, a happy life. Maya delivered the order to table 5, exchanging pleasantries with the elderly couple who came every Tuesday. She was heading back to the counter when her phone buzzed in her apron pocket. Grandma calling. Maya smiled, stepping into the small break room. Grandma, I'm at work. Is everything... Maya. Her grandmother's voice was weak, strained. I need you to come. Something's wrong. The phone nearly slipped from Maya's fingers. What? What's wrong? Are you okay? Dizzy, fell. Can't... The line went dead. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. She burst back into the cafe, barely registering BC's startled expression. I have to go. Family emergency. She didn't wait for a response. She ran. The hospital waiting room smelled of antiseptic and despair. Maya sat hunched in a plastic chair, her leg bouncing nervously as she waited for the doctor. An hour felt like a lifetime. Nurses bustled past, their expressions professionally neutral. Somewhere down the hall, a child was crying. Finally, a doctor emerged, clipboard in hand. Family of Eunice Adeyemi? Maya shot to her feet. Yes, that's my grandmother. Is she okay? The doctor's expression was kind but grave. Let's sit down. Those 3 words made Maya's blood run cold. Your grandmother collapsed due to a serious cardiac condition. We've stabilized her for now, but she needs surgery without it. He paused, choosing his words carefully. She has perhaps a month, maybe less. Maya's world tilted. Surgery? Okay, when can we schedule it? There's a complication. The surgery is extensive, highly specialized, and expensive. He handed her a sheet of paper. Maya's eyes scanned the figure at the bottom, then scanned it again, certain she'd misread. 15 million naira. 15 million naira. She couldn't finish the sentence. Her monthly salary was 80,000 naira. Even if she saved every kobo, even if she never ate, never paid rent, it would take her years to raise that kind of money. We understand this is difficult, the doctor continued gently, but time is critical. The surgery needs to happen within the next month. 1 week has already passed since her condition began deteriorating. That leaves 3 weeks. 3 weeks. 21 days to find 15 million naira or lose the only family she had left. Maya didn't remember leaving the hospital. She found herself walking the streets as evening fell, her mind spinning uselessly. 15 million. 3 weeks. Impossible. By the time she reached home, a desperate plan had begun forming. She'd ask everyone she knew, borrow from everyone who would lend. It wasn't elegant, but it was all she had. The next 2 weeks became a blur of humiliation. She called every family member, no matter how distant. Please, just anything you can spare. My grandmother is dying. Most offered sympathy in small amounts. 50,000 naira here, 20,000 naira there. Others offered nothing but advice. Have faith. God will provide. These things are in his hands now. Faith wouldn't pay for surgery. She went to banks begging for loans. They looked at her employment history, her lack of collateral, and shook their heads. We're sorry, you don't qualify. She found loan sharks in the grimy parts of town, men with gold teeth and predatory smiles. They'd lend her money at 40% interest, due within 3 months. She signed anyway, desperate, then signed with another and another. The money trickled in, 2 million naira from loans, 500,000 naira from family and friends. She was still 12,500,000 naira short. The hospital called daily. Miss Adeyemi, have you made progress on the payment? Your grandmother's condition is worsening. We need to schedule the surgery soon. 1 week left. Maya sat on her bed, surrounded by loan documents and bank statements, and finally allowed herself to cry. Great, heaving sobs that shook her entire body. She'd fought so hard, sacrificed so much, and it still wasn't enough. Her phone rang. Amara, her closest friend from the cafe. Maya, I'm coming over. We need to talk. 20 minutes later, Amara sat across from her, holding Maya's hands. I know a way to get the money, but you are not going to like it. Maya wiped her eyes. I'll do anything. There's this club. Very exclusive. Wealthy men go there looking for companionship. One night with the right man could get you everything you need. The words hung in the air like poison. No. Maya pulled her hands away. Amara, I can't. I know this isn't you, Maya. But what's the alternative? Let your grandmother die. She raised you. She gave up everything for you. Amar's voice was gentle but firm. Sometimes life backs us into corners. Sometimes we have to do unthinkable things for the people we love. I need to think about it, Maya whispered. You have 1 week. Think fast. After Amar left, Maya lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. She thought about Grandma Eunice, her laughter, her strength, her unwavering love. She thought about her parents, buried side by side in the cemetery she visited every month. She thought about becoming an orphan all over again. The hospital called the next morning. Miss Adeyemi, we're running out of time. Your grandmother has 6 days. The surgery must happen within 5 days to be effective. Please, we're begging you. 6 days. Maya looked at herself in the mirror, at the dark circles under her eyes, the hollow cheeks, the desperate woman staring back. She picked up her phone with shaking hands. Amara, I'll do it. There was a pause on the other end, then quietly, I'll make the arrangements. Tomorrow night, Maya hung up and promptly vomited into the sink. Tomorrow night, she would sell the only thing she had left that anyone wanted to buy. Tomorrow night, she would save her grandmother's life by destroying a piece of her own soul. She just hoped Grandma would never find out the price. Dr. Chucky Okonkwo stood in his corner office on the 42nd floor, staring at his hands. In the reflection of the floor-to-ceiling windows, he could see them trembling, a slight but unmistakable shake that had become his personal curse. Not again, he muttered, clenching his fists. Below him, Lagos sprawled in all its chaotic glory. Traffic snarled on the expressway, street vendors weaving between cars, the city pulsing with relentless energy. From up here, it all seemed manageable, orderly. But Chicky knew better. Order was an illusion. Control was a lie people told themselves to sleep at night. He'd learned that lesson 3 years ago. His phone buzzed. Dr. Adebayo, his colleague and closest friend. Chicky, you're still planning to scrub in for the procedure this afternoon, right? Chick glanced at his hands again. The tremor had worsened. I don't think that's wise. Again? Adebayo's sigh was audible through the phone. Chicky, you're the best cardiovascular surgeon in this hospital. Hell, in this country. But if you keep backing out, I know. Chick cut him off. The board had already started questioning his reliability. 3 canceled surgeries in 2 months. His reputation, built over 15 years of flawless work, was crumbling. I'll figure something out. Have you tried the new medication Dr. Chen recommended? Yes, it did nothing. Chick's jaw tightened. I've tried everything, Adebayo. Medications, therapy, meditation, acupuncture. You name it. Nothing works. There was a pause, then carefully. Maybe you need to stop trying to fix it medically. Maybe you need a distraction. When's the last time you went out? Had fun? Remembered you're human? I don't have time for fun. You need to make time. Look, there's this place, very exclusive, very discreet, the Oasis Club. Some of us go there to unwind. You should come tonight. No pressure, no expectations, just exist for a few hours without thinking about surgeries or shaking hands. Chicky wanted to refuse, but what was the alternative? Sit in his apartment, staring at medical journals he'd read 1,000 times, willing his hands to behave? Fine. Send me the address. Now we're talking. 8 p.m., dress sharp. After Adebayo hung up, Chicky returned to the window. Somewhere in the memory of his mind, Zainab's face appeared. Her smile, the way she'd laugh at his terrible jokes, the warmth that had made their apartment feel like home. Then came the other memory, the one he couldn't escape no matter how hard he tried. The car crash, the hospital. Holding her hand as the machine's flatline, his hands had started shaking the next day. During her funeral, he'd had to grip the podium to keep them steady. During his first surgery afterward, he had nearly dropped the scalpel. 3 years of specialists, and no one could explain it. Psychosomatic, they said. Trauma-induced tremor. It should resolve with time and therapy, but time had passed, and therapy had failed, and his hands still betrayed him whenever he needed them most. Perhaps Adebayo was right. Perhaps he needed to stop trying to fix himself and just live, even if only for one night. The Oasis Club was everything Chicky expected and nothing he wanted. Low lighting, expensive furniture, beautiful people draped across velvet couches. Music throbbed subtly in the background, not loud enough to prevent conversation, but present enough to create atmosphere. Dr. Okonkwo, a hostess, materialized beside him, her smile professionally warm. Dr. Adebayo said, You'd be joining us. Please follow me to the VIP section. Chike followed her through the crowd, acutely aware of the eyes tracking his movement. Everyone here knew his name, his reputation, his bank account. That's what places like this traded in. Connections, influence, wealth. The VIP section was more subdued, with private alcoves for those who valued discretion. Adebayo sat with 2 other doctors from the hospital, whiskey glasses in hand. Chike, you actually came. Adebayo stood, clasping his shoulder. Gentlemen, you know Dr. Okonkwo, best surgeon in Lagos, though he's determined to make us all look bad. Chike accepted the drink Adebayo pressed into his hand and settled into the conversation. It was surprisingly easy to pretend normalcy, discussing hospital politics, laughing at jokes, allowing the whiskey to smooth his frayed edges. An hour passed, then another. Excuse me, Dr. Okonkwo? Another hostess appeared, younger than the first, her smile more nervous. There's someone who'd like to meet you. A private introduction if you're interested. Shake's instinct was to refuse, but Adebayo was giving him a meaningful look, and the whiskey had lowered his defenses. Fine. Lead the way. She guided him to a smaller, more intimate room down a hallway. She'll be with you shortly. Please make yourself comfortable. The door clicked shut behind her. Shake sat on the leather couch, suddenly feeling the weight of where he was and what this meant. He wasn't naive. He knew what private introductions at places like this entailed. He should leave. This wasn't him. This wasn't... The door opened. A young woman stepped inside, and Shake's breath caught. She was beautiful, yes, but that wasn't what struck him. It was her eyes, pumped by terrified, brimming with barely contained panic. She wore a dress that didn't quite fit her personality, makeup that looked hastily applied. Everything about her screamed wrong place, wrong time, wrong life. Why? Hello? She whispered, her voice shaking. Hello? Chike stood, uncertain. Are you okay? The question seemed to undo her. Her lip trembled. I'm sorry, I can't. Before he could respond, she turned and fled. The door slammed behind her, leaving Chike alone in the confusion of what had just happened. Maya burst from the club into the cool night air, gasping. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might explode. Behind her, she could hear Amara calling her name, but she didn't stop. She couldn't do it, couldn't go through with it. That man in the room, he'd looked at her with such confusion, such unexpected kindness, and it had shattered whatever fragile resolve she'd built. She wasn't this person. No matter how desperate she was, she couldn't sell herself like merchandise. Maya. Wait, Mara caught up to her, grabbing her arm. What happened? You were supposed to... I can't, Amara. I'm sorry, but I just can't. Tears streamed down Maya's face. I'll find another way. I'll beg the hospital for more time. Her phone rang. St. Catherine's Hospital. Maya's stomach dropped. With shaking hands, she answered. Hello? Miss Adeyemi? This is Nurse Olatunde. Your grandmother's condition has deteriorated. We need to move up the surgery timeline. You have 3 days now, maximum 4. After that, the nurse's voice was gentle but firm. I'm so sorry, but we need that deposit immediately to book the surgical team. Do you have the funds? 3 days. Maya looked at Amara, at the club behind them, at the impossible choice before her. I'll have it tomorrow, she heard herself say. I promise. She hung up and stood there, her entire body numb. Maya, Amara's voice was soft. Take me back inside. Maya's voice didn't sound like her own. Introduce me to him again. I'll do it. Are you sure? Number. She wasn't sure of anything anymore. But Grandma Eunice was dying, and Maya would rather die herself than let that happen. I'm sure. The second time Maya entered that room, she didn't allow herself to think. Thinking would paralyze her. Instead, she focused on Grandma's smile, on her laughter, on every sacrifice Grandma had made for her. The man, tall, handsome, in a tired sort of way, with eyes that held their own kind of pain, stood as she entered. You came back, he said, surprised. I'm sorry I ran. Maya's voice was steadier now, though her hands trembled. I was scared. You don't have to do this. His words were unexpected. Whatever situation brought you here, there are other ways. There aren't. Maya cut him off, her eyes meeting his. Believe me, if there were any other way, I wouldn't be here. My grandmother is dying. She has 3 days. This is the only option I have left. Something shifted in his expression. Recognition, perhaps, of desperation he understood all too well. What happened next was a blur Maya would spend years trying to forget and failing. The transaction was clinical, emotionless, neither of them speaking more than necessary. When it was over, he wrote her a check without a word. 15 million naira. Maya stared at it, this piece of paper that had cost her everything. Your grandmother, he said quietly as she stood to leave. I hope she survives. Maya didn't trust herself to speak. She simply nodded and left, clutching the check like a lifeline. Outside, the city was waking up, early morning traffic already building, street cleaners sweeping sidewalks, the sky turning from black to gray. Maya walked without direction, her mind carefully blank. She'd done it. She had the money. Grandma would live. That was all that mattered, and she kept telling herself that as she walked, as dawn broke over Lagos, as she tried desperately to believe it was true. By 8 a.m., Maya stood at the hospital's billing department, check in hand. "I have the money for Eunice Adeyemi's surgery," she announced, her voice hollow. The clerk's face lit up. "Wonderful. Let me process this immediately and schedule." She paused, typing rapidly into her computer. Her expression shifted. Oh no. What?" Maya's heart dropped. "What's wrong?" "I'm so sorry, Miss Adeyemi. Dr. Okafor, the only surgeon certified for your grandmother's specific condition, his schedule just updated. He's been booked for an emergency surgery that will take 2 days, followed by a mandatory rest period. He won't be available within your grandmother's time frame." The words made no sense. Maya had the money. She'd sacrificed everything. This was supposed to be over. There must be someone else. Another surgeon. "Please." The clerk's expression was genuinely sympathetic. "I'm sorry. Dr. Okafor is the only one in Lagos with the expertise for this procedure. We could try to find someone in Abuja, but coordinating that will take time you don't have." Maya's legs gave out. She sank into the nearest chair, the check still clutched in her hand. She destroyed herself for nothing. Maya. A familiar voice cut through her shock. She looked up to find Dr. Adebayo, one of the hospital's senior physicians, studying her with concern. "Dr. Adebayo," she whispered. "My grandmother. They're saying there's no surgeon available." "Let me see." He reviewed the file on the clerk's computer, frowning. Then his expression changed. "Wait here." He disappeared down the hallway, leaving Maya suspended in nightmare. Minutes later, he returned, and he wasn't alone. The man from the club walked beside him. Maya's blood turned to ice. He stopped short when he saw her, his eyes widening in recognition. "This is the case?" His voice was carefully controlled. "Yes," Dr. Adebayo confirmed. "Patient needs immediate cardiac surgery. You're one of the few surgeons qualified for this specific procedure, Cheik." Cheik, his name was Cheik. Maya watched as understanding dawned across his face. The grandmother, the desperation, the club, everything clicking into place. But instead of the compassion she'd glimpsed last night, his expression hardened into something cold. He thought she'd known. He thought she'd targeted him deliberately. "Save this case," he told the clerk, his voice arctic. "Transfer all treatment to my supervision. I'll handle everything personally." Then he looked at Maya, and she saw the accusation in his eyes. "Wait for my instructions." He turned and walked away, leaving Maya sitting there, drowning in the wreckage of what her life had become. The surgical theater was ice cold. Maya stood in the observation gallery, her arms wrapped around herself, watching as Dr. Chaiki Okonkwo scrubbed his hands methodically. Through the glass, she could see the surgical team prepping her grandmother's unconscious form. Monitors beeping, machines humming, everyone moving with practiced efficiency. She'd been summoned to here an hour ago by a curt message. "Be at Operating Theater 3, 2 p.m. Don't be late." No explanation, no context, just a command. Now, watching him prepare, she noticed something. His hands were shaking, not dramatically, just at a slight tremor as he held them under the water. But in a surgeon, any shake was catastrophic. Maya's breath caught. This man was about to operate on her grandmother with unsteady hands. A nurse approached him, speaking softly. He shook his head, his jaw tight. The nurse gestured toward the observation gallery, toward Maya. Chaik's eyes lifted and locked onto hers through the glass. The tremor in his hands slowed, then stopped. He stared at her for a long moment, something unreadable crossing his face. Then he turned back to his scrubbing, his hands now perfectly steady. Maya didn't understand what had just happened, but a strange relief flooded through her. Whatever this was, her presence somehow helped him. The surgery began. For 3 hours, Maya didn't move. She watched every incision, every careful movement, barely breathing. The surgical team worked like a symphony, but Cheeky was the conductor. Calm, precise, brilliant. Occasionally, his hands would begin to shake again. Each time, his eyes would flicker to the gallery, find Maya, and the tremor would subside. By the 4th hour, when he finally closed the last suture, Maya's legs were numb, and her face was wet with tears she didn't remember crying. Surgery successful, Chaik announced to his team. Patient stable, transfer her to ICU for monitoring. Maya collapsed into the nearest chair, sobbing with relief. Grandma was alive. She was going to survive. An hour later, Maya sat in the ICU waiting area, exhausted beyond words. Grandma was still unconscious but stable, the monitors showing strong, steady heartbeats. Miss Adeyemi. She looked up to find Chicky standing before her, still in his surgical scrubs. His expression was unreadable. Thank you, Maya breathed. Thank you so much. You saved her life. I don't know how I can ever... Come with me. His voice was cold. We need to talk. He led her to a private consultation room and closed the door. The warmth she'd glimpsed during the surgery had vanished, replaced by ice. Your grandmother will make a full recovery, he began. I'm covering all post-surgical care, medications, and follow-up treatments. She'll receive the best care available. I don't understand. Why would you? Because I know why you came to me. His words cut like scalpels. That night at the club, you knew exactly who I was, didn't you? You knew I was a surgeon. You knew I could save her. Maya's eyes widened. What? No, I had no idea. Don't insult my intelligence. His laugh was bitter. What a convenient coincidence. You desperately need a cardiac surgeon? And you just happened to end up in my room at an exclusive club. You targeted me deliberately, used yourself as leverage to manipulate me into helping your grandmother. That's not true. Maya stood, her voice rising. I swear to you, I didn't know who you were. My friend just said there would be wealthy men at that club who could help me raise money. That's all I knew. How convenient that the random wealthy man turned out to be the exact specialist you needed. His eyes were hard. I'm not a fool, Miss Adeyemi. I'm not lying. Desperation crept into her voice. Please, you have to believe me. It doesn't matter anymore. He cut her off with a dismissive wave. What's done is done. But we're going to establish some ground rules moving forward. Maya's stomach twisted. What do you mean? I have a condition. A medical condition. He held up his hands. My hands shake. It's psychosomatic, trauma-induced, untreatable by conventional medicine. It prevents me from performing surgeries, which is rather unfortunate given that surgery is my specialty. He stepped closer, his gaze intense. During your grandmother's surgery, I noticed something interesting. When you were in that observation gallery, when I could see you, my hand steadied. I don't know why. I don't particularly care why. But it worked. Maya's throat went dry. What are you saying? I'm saying you're going to help me. For every surgery I perform, you'll be present. You'll stay in the observation, the gallery for the duration. Your presence stabilizes me, so you'll provide that stability. And in return, your grandmother receives continued world-class care. All expenses covered. She'll recover fully, live comfortably. You have my word on that. It wasn't really a choice. Maya knew that. He held all the power, all the cards. How long? Until I say otherwise. His tone left no room for negotiation. You'll receive a schedule. Surgeries vary, sometimes daily, sometimes several per week. You'll make yourself available. I have a job. Quit it. He pulled out his phone, typed briefly. I'll pay you a monthly stipend, twice what you make at that cafe. Consider yourself employed by me now. Maya's hands clenched into fists. You think I manipulated you, so your solution is to actually manipulate me? Something flickered in his eyes, maybe guilt, maybe recognition of the hypocrisy. but his voice remained cold. Call it what you want. Do we have a deal? Maya thought of Grandma, hooked up to monitors in the ICU, thought of the medication she'd need, the follow-up appointments, the long recovery ahead. Yes, she whispered. We have a deal. Good. He turned toward the door, then paused. One more thing. Don't bother trying to convince me you're innocent. I've heard enough lies in my life. Just do your job, and we'll get along fine. He left, the door clicking shut with finality. Maya sank back into her chair, her body shaking with exhaustion and anger and relief and a dozen other emotions she couldn't name. She'd saved Grandma's life, but she'd sold her own freedom in the process. The next 2 weeks fell into a surreal rhythm. Maya received schedules on her phone. Tuesday, 7 a.m., cardiac bypass. Thursday, 2 p.m., valve replacement. Saturday, 10 a.m., aneurysm repair. She showed up to each one, stood in the observation gallery, and watched Chike work. He never acknowledged her beyond a brief glance to steady his hands. Never spoke to her before or after. She was a tool, nothing more. A human talisman against his trembling curse. The stipend appeared in her account like clockwork. 200,000 naira monthly. More money than she'd ever had, and it felt like poison. But Grandma was recovering beautifully. That made everything bearable. Then the debtors found her. She was walking home from the hospital one evening when 3 men stepped from the shadows. Maya Adeyemi? The largest one smiled, revealing gold-capped teeth. We've been looking for you. Her blood went cold. Then, I need more time. I'm working on... You borrowed 500,000 naira from Mr. Bello 3 weeks ago. At 40% interest, you now owe 700,000 naira. He wants his money. I'll pay. I just need another month. You don't have another month. He stepped closer and Maya stumbled backward. You have 1 week. Get the money or we'll take payment another way. They left her shaking on the sidewalk. The next day, she returned to the cafe, her old workplace, hoping to beg for her job back, to earn extra money somehow. Maya! Her former manager's smile was tight. I heard you quit. Found something better? I need extra shifts, Maya said desperately. Please, I'll work any hours. That's going to be difficult. The manager's expression shifted. See, we've had some visitors asking about you. Rough-looking men saying you owe money. They scared our customers, Maya. I can't have that kind of trouble here. Please, I promise they won't come back. I'm sorry. I really am, but I can't help you. Defeated, Maya left the cafe. Outside, 2 different debtors were waiting. You borrowed from us too, sweetheart. 300,000 naira, remember? Over the next week, it became a nightmare. Debtors appeared everywhere, at her apartment, at the hospital, even at the surgical theater once, causing such a scene that security had to remove them. Maya was drowning. Then one evening, as another creditor cornered her outside her building, a sleek black car pulled up. Chick emerged, his expression thunderous. Is there a problem here? His voice was quiet, but carried unmistakable authority. The debtor sized him up. Expensive suit, confident posture, the bearing of someone who owned rooms just by entering them. No problem, sir. Just discussing business with the lady. Your business is concluded. Chick pulled out his wallet, extracted several crisp bills. Whatever she owes you, consider it paid. With interest. Now leave. The man took the money and vanished. Chike turned to Maya, and for the first time since that horrible confrontation, his expression softened slightly. How much do you owe? Total? I can't accept. How much, Maya? The use of her first name startled her. 2 million naira, maybe more with interest. He didn't even blink. Give me the names and contact information for everyone you owe. By tomorrow, your debts will be cleared. Why? The question burst from her. You think I'm a manipulative liar. Why would you help me? For a long moment, he just looked at her. Then quietly, because regardless of how we started, you've kept your end of our bargain. You show up, you help me save lives, and you never complain. That deserves something. He returned to his car, then paused. And Maya, Maybe I was wrong about you, maybe. He drove away, leaving Maya standing there, more confused than ever about this cold, complicated man who kept saving her while refusing to trust her. True to his word, by the next evening, Maya's phone rang repeatedly. Your debt with Mr. Bello has been cleared. The money you owed us has been paid in full. One by one, her creditors called to confirm. Every single debt erased. Maya tried calling Chick to thank him, but he didn't answer. The next surgery was a pediatric heart repair. Delicate, high stakes. Maya took her place in the observation gallery as always. But this time, when Chike's eyes found hers through the glass, he nodded. Just a slight dip of his head, but it felt like acknowledgement. Maybe even respect. After the surgery, another success, he found her in the hallway. Your grandmother is being discharged next week, he said. Full recovery. She'll need some follow-up appointments, but she's essentially healthy again. Tears sprang to Maya's eyes. Thank you. For everything, not just the surgery, but the debts, Stop. But his voice wasn't cold anymore. Just tired. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Maya nodded. That night at the club. Did you really not know who I was? She met his gaze steadily. I swear on my grandmother's life, I had no idea. My friend just said there would be wealthy men who could help me raise money quickly. That's all I knew. I'm not that kind of person. He studied her face for a long time. Then, so quietly, she almost missed it. I believe you. Something shifted between them in that moment. Not forgiveness exactly, but the first crack in the wall he'd built. I'm sorry, he continued, for accusing you, for being cruel. I've been carrying things, pain I don't know how to process, and I took it out on you. What happened to you? Maya asked gently. What made your hand shake? His jaw tightened. That's a story for another time. Maybe. He turned to leave, then paused. You're free this weekend. No surgery scheduled. Spend time with your grandmother. Celebrate her recovery. Thank you, Dr. Okonkwo. Chike, he corrected. You can call me Chike. As he walked away, Maya felt something strange bloom in her chest. Hope, maybe. Or the beginning of something she didn't dare name yet. 6 weeks after Grandma Eunice's discharge, Maya stood in the observation gallery, watching Chicky perform a triple bypass. His hands moved with absolute precision. No tremor, no hesitation. He'd glanced up at her once at the beginning, their eyes meeting briefly, and that had been enough. Something had changed between them. The surgeries continued, but the atmosphere had shifted. He'd started asking how her grandmother was doing. She'd started asking about his day. Small talk, nothing profound, but it was more than the cold silence they'd maintained before. Today's surgery was particularly complex, a 7-hour procedure on a teenager who'd been born with a congenital heart defect. Maya watched Chike work with a team of specialists, his focus absolute, his skill breathtaking. When it finally ended successfully, she saw him sag slightly with exhaustion before straightening and addressing his team. Excellent work, everyone. Dr. Adebayo monitored him closely for the next 48 hours. An hour later, Maya was gathering her things when Shaky appeared in the doorway of the small room where she usually waited. Do you have plans tonight? He asked. Maya blinked, surprised. Just dinner with Grandma. Why? I'd like to buy you coffee. A proper thank you for everything you've done. He shifted, almost awkward. You've been helping me for weeks now, and I've never properly expressed my gratitude. You paid off all my debts and saved my grandmother's life. I think we're even. Humor me anyway? Something in his tone made Maya smile. Okay, coffee sounds nice. They went to a small cafe, ironically not far from where Maya used to work. Chike ordered some complicated espresso drink. Maya got hot chocolate. Not a coffee person, he asked, amused. I worked in a cafe for 3 years. The smell still makes me slightly nauseous. She wrapped her hands around the warm mug. So, Dr. Okonkwo, Chike, she corrected, testing the name on her tongue. Can I ask you something? That depends on the question. What happened to you? What caused the tremors? His expression shuddered briefly, and Maya thought he might refuse to answer, but then he sighed, staring into his espresso. I was married, he said quietly. 3 years ago, her name was Zainab. She was an architect, brilliant, funny, had this laugh that could light up entire rooms. His voice softened with memory. We'd been married for 5 years. We're talking about starting a family. He paused, his jaw working. Maya waited, not pushing. Car accident. The drunk driver ran a red light. His hands tightened around his cup. She was in a coma for 3 days. I was there the whole time, holding her hand, talking to her, begging her to wake up. But she never did. Chaik, I'm so sorry. The day after her funeral, I had a surgery scheduled. I thought work would help, would give me focus. But when I lifted the scalpel, he held up his hand, showing the slight tremor that had returned. It started shaking. I couldn't control it. Had to have another surgeon take over. He looked at Maya, and she saw the depth of pain in his eyes. I tried everything, every medication, every therapy. Nothing worked. The tremors only got worse. I was losing the one thing I had left, my ability to save lives. After losing Zainab, it felt like losing myself too. Maya reached across the table and gently took his hand. He tensed, then relaxed. Until you, he continued, I still don't understand it, but when you're there, when I can see you, everything steadies. You gave me back what I thought I'd lost forever. Maybe, Maya said softly, we were supposed to meet. Not the way we did. That was awful and painful, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But maybe the universe knew we needed each other. Chaik's thumb brushed across her knuckles. Tell me about you, your parents. What happened? Maya took a shaky breath. I was 10. We were driving home from my school play. I'd been so excited because I'd gotten the lead role and they'd been so proud. Her voice cracked. A truck's brakes failed. Hit us head on. They died instantly. I was in the back seat. Barely a scratch on me. Maya, for years I wished I'd died too. Couldn't understand why they were gone and I was still here. Couldn't focus on anything. School became impossible. I was drowning until Grandma pulled me out. She smiled through tears. She gave up everything to raise me. Sold her house, moved to the city, worked 3 jobs at one point. She saved my life long before you saved hers. That's why you did what you did, Chaik said, understanding dawning. At the club, you were saving the person who saved you. I would have done anything, sold anything, been anything. Maya's voice was fierce. She's all I have. They sat in silence, 2 broken people who'd found each other in the wreckage of their worst moments. I'm sorry, Chaik finally said, for how I treated you, for assuming the worst, for being so cruel when you were just trying to survive. You were hurting. We both were. Maya squeezed his hand. But maybe we can stop hurting now. Together. Something shifted in Chaik's expression. Hope, tentative and fragile, but real. I'd like that, he whispered. Over the next month, coffee became their ritual. After surgeries, they'd find small cafes or restaurants, talking for hours. He told her about medical school, about Zainab, about the weight of holding lives in his hands. She told him about her parents, about her abandoned dreams of education, about working at the cafe and finding joy in simple things. Slowly, inevitably, friendship deepened into something more. Chaik started picking her up before surgeries instead of just sending schedules. They'd drive together, talking about everything and nothing. He made her laugh with stories about difficult patients and hospital politics. She made him smile with observations about the world that only someone who'd survived tragedy could make. One evening, after a particularly grueling surgery, he drove her home but didn't immediately unlock the doors. Maya, I need to tell you something. Her heart hammered. Okay. These past weeks with you, they've been the first time since Zainab died that I've felt alive. Really alive, not just going through motions. He turned to face her. You didn't just steady my hands. You steadied everything. My heart, my mind, my soul. Chike, I'm falling in love with you, he said simply. Maybe I already have, and I needed you to know. Maya's breath caught. I love you too. I think I have for weeks now. I was just afraid to admit it. He cupped her face gently, his thumb brushing her cheek. Can I kiss you? Please. Their first kiss was soft, tender, filled with all the healing they'd found in each other. When they finally pulled apart, both were smiling. Come meet Grandma, Maya said impulsively. Properly, I mean. Not as her doctor, but as the man I love. Chike's smile widened. I'd be honored. Grandma Eunice took one look at them, walking into her apartment hand in hand, and burst into delighted laughter. Finally! I was wondering when you two would figure it out. She pulled Chucky into a hug. Young man, you saved my life. But more importantly, you saved my granddaughter. She's been smiling again. Really smiling, not just pretending. She saved me too, Chick said, glancing at Maya. More than she knows. They had dinner together, Maya's cooking, which made Chike tease her about her cafe experience paying off. Grandma told embarrassing stories about Maya's childhood. Chike shared medical school disasters. It felt like family. As they were leaving, Grandma pulled Maya aside. That one's a keeper, she whispered. He looks at you the way your father looked at your mother. Like you hung the moon. Maya hugged her grandmother tight. Thank you. For everything. For raising me. For surviving. For being here. Hush now. That's what family does. 3 months later, Chick took Maya to a rooftop restaurant overlooking Lagos. The city sprawled below them, millions of lights twinkling like earthbound stars. I've been thinking, he began, taking her hand, about us. About the future. That sounds serious. It is. He took a deep breath. Maya, I know how we started was complicated and painful. I took something from you that night. Something precious that you can never get back. And I'm sorry, I'm so deeply sorry for the circumstances that brought us together. Chike, we've talked about this. You didn't know, I didn't know. We were both just lost. Let me finish. He smiled nervously. I can't change our beginning. But I can change our future. I want to spend the rest of my life making up for how we started. I want to give you everything you deserve. Love, security, support, joy. He slid from his chair, kneeling, and Maya's hands flew to her mouth. I want to send you back to school. Help you finish your education, pursue your dreams, become everything you were meant to be before tragedy interrupted. He pulled out a small velvet box. And I want to do it as your husband. Maya Adeyemi, will you marry me? Through tears, Maya laughed. Yes! Yes, of course, yes. The ring sparkled as he slid it onto her finger. Simple, elegant, perfect. He stood and kissed her as the city lights blazed around them. I love you, she whispered against his lips. I love you too, my healer, my salvation. 6 months later. Maya stood in her graduation gown, diploma in hand, Chike and Grandma cheering from the audience. She'd completed an accelerated program in healthcare administration, inspired by her time in hospitals, wanting to help others navigate the system that had almost defeated her. After the ceremony, Chike swept her into his arms. I'm so proud of you, Mrs. Okonkwo. Mrs. Okonkwo, she repeated, still getting used to her married name, has a nice ring to it. Speaking of rings, he pulled out 2 tickets. I booked us a honeymoon. 2 weeks in Zanzibar, just us, the beach, and no surgeries. What about your patients? Dr. Adebayo is covering. Besides, he touched her face tenderly. My hands haven't shaken in months. You healed me, Maya, completely. That evening, they visited her parents' graves, something Chicky had suggested. Maya knelt, placing flowers on each headstone. Mom, Dad, I want you to meet someone. She pulled Chicky down beside her. This is my husband, Chike. He's a brilliant surgeon, stubborn as a mule, and he makes terrible jokes. But he loves me, really loves me, and he's helping me become the person you always believed I could be. Checky added quietly, I promise to take care of her, to love her, support her, protect her. She saved my life in every way a person can be saved. I'll spend forever returning the favor. As they walked back to the car, Maya reflected on the journey, from that desperate night at the club to this moment of peace and joy. The path had been dark and painful, but it had led here, to love, to healing, to home. Grandma was waiting at their house with dinner prepared. As they ate together, this small precious family they'd built from tragedy, Maya caught Cheeky's eye across the table. He smiled, and she smiled back, and in that moment, everything was perfect. They'd both lost so much, but they'd found each other, and that made everything worth it. Sometimes the darkest nights lead to the brightest dawns. Sometimes brokenness, when pieced together, creates something stronger than what existed before. Sometimes love finds you in the most unexpected places. And sometimes, just sometimes, desperate endings become beautiful beginnings. Thank you for watching. What do you think of this story? Let me know of your thoughts in the comment section below. Until I bring another intriguing story your way again, bye for now.